All right.
All right.
So I think we should start by you telling the audience, Richard, why you chose the name Prince EA, what it means, why you love it.
Sure. So, not a lot of people ask me this question, but Prince EA, I studied anthropology, and anthropology is the study of man across time and space. I'm fascinated with cultures, and the name Prince EA is derived from a place called Sumer. And Sumer is the first civilization known to man. 6,000 years ago, this civilization was birthed right after the Stone Age. These people were incredible. They created the wheel. They put 360 degrees to a circle. They knew about all the planets in our solar system without the use of a telescope. And if you would have asked one of them, how did you have this advanced knowledge? How did you know? They would have said that their living gods gave it to them. And about 10 years ago, when I was still a teenager, I was like, what living gods? What are you talking about, aliens? What is this living gods? And basically, long story short, Prince EA stands for Prince Earth. It's a bridge for Prince Earth. And Prince was the creator God, and he freed these people from bondage through knowledge and wisdom. And this name kept popping up, and I took it on because through my music, through my art, I want to free people, or at least open their minds through knowledge and wisdom.
That's a perfect, yeah, that's beautiful.
Thank you.
That's a great segue into this idea. You were telling me backstage that you define yourself as a conscious rapper. Tell me more about that. What does it mean to be a conscious musician?
I think as any artist, we have a choice to make. We can either dig people deeper into the illusion, or we can free them from the illusion. And for me, I mean, the answer was obvious. It was the latter. For me, I was inspired by a lot of artists that touched on subjects from geopolitics to questioning religion to physics. I was inspired by these rappers that did these things over these incredible beats. I was up until this point, I was a very complacent kid. I didn't do too well. My teachers wanted to hold me back. I wasn't a good student up until coming into contact with these artists, and they inspired me to want to learn in a way that no other teacher had before. I think we're all different, and we all take different paths towards learning. Some people, you go to Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences, and you've got auditory learners, you've got kinesthetic learners, you've got people who learn through stories. I was auditory. I love music and listening to it. And these rappers, they inspired me to want to learn. And I was inspired so much by them that it not only made an impact on my life. I started sitting in front of the classroom and engaging in the class, but I also started to create music of my own and inspire others like these guys touch me. So sort of the each one teach one theory.
You have an amazing new song that came out about labels, and I wanted to preface this with an experience I had a couple weeks ago in the Mississippi River Delta. I was telling you about. It was shocking to me. So we have a program down there, and we have an African American instructor who is taking a film crew down to the local library to get some books. And as he was leaving this library in this little tiny town in Arkansas in the Delta, this woman tells him, "You better bring the books back, or we'll tie a rope around your neck." And the film crew, I'm just thankful that somebody else was there to hear that, because I think so often those kinds of comments get denied and swept under the rug. And they're coming out in our modern political discourse with the elections coming up. Tell me more about the song that you released and why you think that labels aren't important. I think a lot of people are arguing the contrary right now.
Yes. Yeah, it seems like I won't go as far as saying it's a human tendency, but it's definitely a cultural tendency for us to put ourselves in boxes in order to frame reality. I believe it was Krishnamurti, labels by definition separate. So you call yourself something, you're immediately distancing yourself from everything else. Anytime there's separation and division, there's conflict inherently. if we look into race, I said I was an anthropology major. I studied anthropology. We know, every scientist will tell you that race is a biological illusion. It doesn't exist. We are more alike than we are dissimilar. Race is yeah, yeah. And this is the truth. This is the truth. I think spirituality is about finding the truth. It is science in a way, the empirical pursuit of the truth. And when you look deeply into the genetics, the research, you find that race is an illusion. It is a social construct, and it's a very real social construct, though. We can't dismiss the experiences of people and history. But I did this piece because I wanted to go a little deeper. I wanted to go in, are we, for me, the name of the piece is called I Am Not Black, You Are Not White. Obviously, you look at my skin, I am black, but what is the I that is black, right? If I'm, in the piece, I have an analogy as, we're cars, right? Like we're part of this manufacturing system, and once we're born, we're that. Somebody says you're that car, but so I'm in this vehicle, right? This black vehicle that I wear. But what is the driver? What is that that's inside? The ghost in the machine. What is that? And this is we were talking backstage about something called inquiry, and I believe that it's everybody's duty to question every single assumption that we have about reality. If we want to live in the truth, we have to question these things. I have a body. I am not the body. I have a mind. What is mind? Mind is a bundle of thoughts. What is it that observes thoughts? Is that a thought? Are we spirit? And it's not a verbal answer that you give when you do this process. It's a feeling. And enlightenment is nothing more than non-identification with this material world. You know what you are, and all problems, all exploitation, all separation goes away once you do that inquiry.
How do we get you on Donald Trump's playlist?
Oh man. Oh, Donald.
Right?
I don't know.
All right, so you live in St. Louis.
I do, yes.
Welcome to San Francisco. It's
Thank
good
you.
to have you.
Thank you. Good to be here.
And you call into question so effectively so many of the tenets of Silicon Valley. You write and you work a lot on this theme of technology. So bear with me, all of you. I'm going to read you some of his lyrics, and I'm far less talented than Richard is. So he says in a piece called "Why I Think This World Should End," that technology has given us everything we could ever want, and at the same time stolen everything we really need. In another piece called "Can We Autocorrect Humanity?" You say, did you know the average person spends 4 years of his life looking down at his cell phone? I say this as I'm looking down at my cell phone. Kind of ironic, ain't it? How these touch screens can make us lose touch, but it's no wonder in a world filled with iMacs, iPads, and iPhones, so many eyes, so many selfies, not enough us's and we's. Tell me about that interplay between, technology as a force for connecting us, and we've now heard about internet.org and all of these grand initiatives to connect humanity through the internet, and at the same time, this distancing that happens when we put our phones between us.
Yeah, I think technology is beautiful. It has connected so many different people, so many different countries together. But with every good, there's always a bad. There's always the double-edged sword, right? That goes for everything almost that we create. A pencil can write a beautiful novel, but it can also stab somebody in the face. So it's twofold. Technology. It's all about balance. It's all about balance, right? We are consumers. We have to be careful not to become consumed by the technology. But deeper, like the piece was about technology, but even deeper than that, it was about mindfulness, right? Because you don't you're in a conversation with somebody, you don't need a cell phone to distract you. Your mind can be a million miles away. So it was about mindfulness and being present and being in the moment. And I think we have to bring that. That's why these conferences are so amazing, because we bring that mindfulness to the tech industry, the tech space. And we can only create beautiful things from that. So I love it, but I think it's our responsibility, like I said before, to not become consumed by the technology. The resolution on our iPhones are nice. The pixels are nice, but this reality in front of us is much greater. The pixels in the real world are amazing.
It's funny to me that that you have these lyrics and songs that you release on YouTube.
Yeah.
Tell me about your fans. I feel like we're living in the age of keeping up with the Kardashians and a lot of conspicuous consumption as inequality grows, and yet you've carved out this niche of people, or maybe it's not a niche, maybe it's the same person who's watching the Kardashians by day who's listening to your YouTube songs at night. I don't know. Who are your fans, and what do you think drives that connection that they feel with you? Because you've gone totally viral.
Yes. You look at the demographics. I mean, I've touched people from 9 to 90. Like, I get messages from so many different people, and it's beautiful. And I believe the reason is because there's something within all of us. I think every person in this room, we can agree that we all want to be happy. That's why we're here. But the Buddha says it's our ways to get to the happiness that cause the suffering. I just want to take some time, just create a ground that every human being, no matter the culture, race, creed, like whatever, we can relate to it. We all have pain, we all have suffering, and so I think last year I had a little under 500 million views on all of my content on the Facebook platform and the YouTube platform. And I say that not to impress you, but to impress upon you that when you create content that touches here, what comes from the heart, I believe, reaches the heart. We're all the same at the end of the day. We are all the same. We're all one, right?
Wow. So the extent of my knowledge of socially conscious rap is the song Mr. Wendell, which came out when...
Love that.
Yes.
Yes.
I don't even know if were you alive then?
Oh, okay, get out of here. Of course I was. Mr. Wendell? Yeah, I know the song.
You write about so many of these issues, including the environment, and I think you're the only rapper who's actively, that I know of, who's actively talking about this issue. Tell me more about your interest in the environment and what are some of the causes that you support.
Yeah, so last year I went to the DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo, and I was invited out there by a company called Wildlife Works. And Wildlife Works, what they do is they provide incentives to these communities to essentially make the trees more valuable alive than dead, because a lot of external entities are coming in wanting to develop. So I was there, I saw the deforestation firsthand, and it's sad, and this is not only there, it's a global thing, and you realize that, it's not about everybody wants to save the planet. I did the math, and you look at the Earth is 4-point-something billion years old. Humanity about 150, 200,000 years old. If you condense the Earth's lifespan, right, into 24 hours, one day, we have been here for 3 seconds, right? So the Earth is going to be here. It's not about saving the Earth, it's about saving us. We need to realize our connection to the Earth. We are a part of to save nature is to save us, right? So it's obvious to me I want to create content because we are distant. There's a disconnect between the environment and our worlds that we live in. But once we realize that we are not apart from nature, we are a part of nature, we start to treat all beings with respect and dignity, and we want to help. And I did a piece called was called Dear Future Generations, Sorry. And it was an apology letter to the future, yeah, the future generations for the destruction. So I just did that to wake us up. And that video did about 100 million views by itself. And I believe we are waking up. The people that care about this planet, I believe we are a majority, a silent majority. And it's up to us to come together for one cause to really save us, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your point about the Earth's history is really interesting. I remember reading once that if you were to put all of the Earth's history, the over 4 billion years, if you were to plot it along your arm, you could erase all of humanity with a swipe of a nail file on your middle finger.
Wow.
Puts things in perspective, right?
Yes. Yeah.
How do you think about translating the energy that you develop in your fans into action? How do you think about converting that into, something real and something that has a measurable outcome?
Yes. It's hard to measure that, because I think true knowledge is to be transformed by it. I create actionable steps on all of my videos, but truthfully, I want to touch this. I believe in order, if a gardener wants to diagnose a tree, right? He doesn't look to the leaves, the flowers. He looks to the root, and the root of our culture is the human, and the root of the human is the human heart. You change the human heart, you change the culture. And so I'm an artist that wants to reach to that heart. And is it measurable? I don't know. I think so. I get a lot of messages. The numbers don't lie. But I try to do it through inspiration. That's one thing that I want to do. I don't want to be the same gloom and doom. Martin Luther King Jr. He said I have a dream. He didn't say I have a nightmare. It's through inspiration and hope. Through inspiration and hope that we change the world. Not gloom and doom. So I want to fill people with that hope, because it is possible. It is possible to become free. It is possible to create a very beautiful world. I asked the question, why do we have to die to go to heaven? The earth is already in space. We can have heaven right here. You're just changing this.
You strike me, and I'm sure all of you, as a very spiritual person. What's your spiritual practice?
Wow. I have, like I said earlier, I think spirituality is science. It's the empirical pursuit of the truth. How much do you want to know the truth? They say a lot of people don't want a cure, they want relief. Are you willing to abandon everything that you think is right to find the truth? We all have to answer that question. My spiritual practice goes everything from, I've studied the Eckharts to Katie to Thich Nhat Hanh to Ramana Maharshi to Osho. I've studied it all. And it all comes down to knowing what you're not. Knowing what you're not. Neti, not this, not this. And realizing that we are love. As cliche as that sounds, verbally, you realize that when you're seeing, Katie said it the other day, nobody angry is sane. When you really know what you are, and that is love. I don't think love is some romantic, Valentine's, cuddles. Love is seen clearly without that filter of judgment, of labels. It is as a child sees the world, purely, without the polished mirror, as they say. They say enlightenment is So we all have these mirrors, and it's dirt, it's grime on the mirrors. And once we polish them, the dirt and the grime are things that our conditioning, our judgments. And once we polish it clean, then we see ourselves clearly. We see the world clearly. And that is seeing the world through the eyes of God, seeing the world as love.
And loving what is.
Loving what is, yes.
So Shonda Rhimes just gave an amazing TED Talk, and she talks about the hum, which is that feeling of flow that you get when you're just in your work and things are flowing and the creativity is coming out of you. And she also talks about getting blocked. And as a writer and as a producer, she's got a lot of television to run. I'm curious, I mean, you're so prolific, you're always releasing new songs. You do a lot of it yourself. What do you do when you get into those creative blocks? How do you rekindle your sense of creativity?
Yeah. I move on. If I'm blocked in one area, I go to it. I might create a song and get maybe 70% into it, and then it's just not there anymore. I'm not afraid to put it aside and move on to something else. I just go where my energy is leading, and that's it. We will always have the moods, the blocks that will come, and the more we resist these moods, the bigger they become, right? So it's simple. I just move on to something else. Sometimes I might have 4 uncompleted projects though, and then that gets a little frustrating. But I might work out or something. I don't know.
And you don't judge yourself.
I don't. Not at all. But yeah, I think we will always get the blocks. They will come and they will go. But to not become too frustrated by it, just to understand that hey, this is gonna happen. This too, and this is the anger. You can do this with the anger block, the sadness block. They're gonna come, and just as quickly as they came, they will go.
What advice do you have for maybe people in this room or people out there who want to make a living as a creative professional? Maybe they want to be a musician or they want to make a living from their art in some way. That must be so tough. How have you constructed a life for yourself that pays a living from this work, and what advice do you have for them?
Yeah, so, when I graduated from college, I had already developed my career a little bit. I had a little following. I had been on magazines, performed with, Grammy Award winning artists, but I was living at home. I wasn't able to sustain myself. So I had to get a job. I had to, do something else. And it's funny, I was a mascot, right? Don't laugh. Brad Pitt was actually also a mascot. You didn't. But I had
what were you a mascot for?
It was like a watermelon juice company. But Denzel.
Little did they know.
Denzel. We got to wrap up. But Denzel says something. He says you gotta do what you gotta do before you can do what you want to do. So for me, I knew the internet was the way. I knew it's millionaires born every day on the internet, so I just wanted to capitalize on that, and I wanted to create. I forgot about myself. That's one thing too. I forgot about myself, and I just wanted to serve. I think service is the key to really fortune, and not necessarily material fortune or money, but really the fortune of the heart. So I just became a servant, and everything just followed naturally as it did, and I learned from the experiences and the failures, and it created a structure that now I'm living from, just from my service, and it's beautiful. So yeah.
We're getting, unfortunately, because we could be here all afternoon, we're getting the hook. But I just wanted to thank you so much for sharing the fortune of your heart with all of us. We are so blessed. Thank you.
Thank you.